right, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Deacons of Reality in the house. Peace and blessings. We got Twin Pyramid in the house. Peace and blessings. All right. So what I'm just noticing is we are on the wrong program. The night topic is enough is enough, but the program reads, what have we learned about the nature of white people?
So, let's roll with enough is enough.
Exactly. So
we just get back in the house. So
so as y'all come in, please just take note and understand that the topic tonight is actually enough is enough. And Doc, this topic came because I've been watching several issues. One, with the actor who was found guilty of
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors, of beating up his white girlfriend. And even after watching the video, I still don't understand that one. But we're going to sit there and talk about that. We're going to talk about Taraji P. Henson and her breakdown over the pay stuff. We talked a little bit about that last week. We're going to go in a little bit more detail this week. We're going to also talk about Black masculinity with Black men doing all this crying. We got Van Jones crying now. And Ramaswamy had to tell him to shut the fuck up. So, this is just, I've really had, so this is where the topic enough is enough come from. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna share screen so we can watch this first video and come back and talk about it, because I think for me watching it, it was very profound to see that brother respond the way that he did. But let's check it out. Oops.
Be hell to fire on you. What you doing now? Bring your right hand to my face. I'm going through all type of shit. I'm trying to be goddamn disrespected every goddamn day. All I want to do, I very nicely told you what to do. I don't have to touch your goddamn phone. I wouldn't even come to that. It wouldn't even come to it. You just do what you're supposed to do. Don't say anything else to me. Don't you come crying. Enough is a goddamn enough.
Oh, what the fuck?
Goddamn it! You chose for me to be hell to fire on you. What you doing now? Bring your right hand to my face. I'm going through all type of shit. I'm trying to be goddamn disrespected every goddamn day. All I want to do, I very nicely told you what to do. I don't have to touch your goddamn phone. I wouldn't even come to that. It wouldn't even come to it. You just do what you're supposed to do. Don't say anything else to me. Don't you come crying. Enough is a goddamn enough.
Oh, what the fuck?
Goddamn it. You.
So there we go. Enough is a goddamn enough. And some of the comments, and I'll just go through the few of them that we see right here. This one says, you can tell he was one of the nice teachers too. And another one says, and y'all wonder why there's a teacher shortage. Another one says, teachers do not get paid enough to deal with these kids these days. And another one says, these kids be fucking around, time to find out. Another one says, this teacher is beyond ridiculous, doesn't need to be around children. If that were a parent yelling at their child, everyone would be yelling CPS. But since it's a teacher, that was it. But since it's a teacher, they don't get that type of comment. Doc, you're a teacher. What'd you see?
And I've been that brother right there. that you just showed. Um, People have no idea of the mental stress and strain that is placed upon educators who are trying to uplift Black folk. There are there is It's a different level. Every day when I go into every beginning of every semester when I go in, what I'm actually looking for is I'm looking for me.
Mm.
I can identify me in one or two of my students. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm focusing I'm tailoring myself to them. I'm seeing what they could possibly do.
Mm.
Um, and what ends up happening is that when you have people who care, and the educational process is really like a dance, kind of
Mm.
like Dancing with the Stars type dance, or one of these ghetto hokey pokeys that they do. This
Mhm.
line dance and Black folk have become addicted to. Um, if I move, you move, just like that.
Mhm.
However, if I move and you don't move, you refuse to move, X, Y, and Z, the process is not going to work. And so what an educator like, and I'm projecting based upon what I saw, what an educator like that would be frustrated with is quite simply he recognizes the potential that his students have, and he also understands what's waiting for them.
Mm.
And there's a bear outside waiting on y'all. And that bear don't he does not care if you never eat. He does not care if you do not work. So in many ways, the actions of that teacher has to be filtered through that, a position of caring, a position of y'all just don't get it. I'm trying to save you from what is coming. And if you would just put forth a little bit of effort, a little discipline, um, I could potentially be a part of that dash of your life when you look back and you say, well, I had a teacher, I had a professor who, blah, 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 blah. When people ask how you made it, what you're seeing there is because he says it. He says, I
Mhm.
come in here every day. And the truth of the matter is that I have this theory about how to be. Somewhere along the lines of my life, I learned how to be in a classroom. I can tell you how that where I learned to be at a conference.
Mhm.
It was the mentoring of my parents had never been to a conference. It was the mentoring of my professors. I listened to them. And one of the things that people would say about me, they would say, you get away with stuff that nobody else in the world could ever get away with.
Mm.
Doors open for you that would never open for anybody else. And they're correct. And one of the reasons why is because I've always been, if we use and not to divert the conversation towards this, the idea of, and you'll see me moving. I'm being bullied right now into rubbing somebody. So if you
Mm.
guys see me moving, I'm in Ohio, visiting my family for the holidays, and this is part of the family right here, and he ain't taking no shorts when it comes to these rubs that he wants. But Kevin Samuels, when he's talking about what it is actually that men want, and he will say cooperation, that he that he wants cooperation. That a man will want cooperation and all of that. Yeah, we dealing this is Titan, everybody. This is
Mm.
Titan is awful strong, as you can tell, and he's awful big. Um, okay, all right, okay. Here we go. You stop if I rub. And so there needs to be a cooperation. There needs to be a understanding in that process of learning how to be in a classroom that will lead students to be teachable. Um, If they don't have that, there's nothing that you can do. And I stand up for educators who care, who are really trying to educate our children and not trying to streamline them into prison. And what I say to people is, because they often talk about these differences in schools. I'm from Ohio, so we have the funding for schools is based upon property taxes for the area. It's not the money that makes one school better than another. What it is the behavior of the children, because the educators who are dispersed throughout any American city have principally gone to the same undergrad and graduate schools. So what makes one school better than the other? It's parental involvement, and it's the cooperation of children. When I go, and I'll use this example, and this is at the collegiate level. I've gone places to lecture, and usually, especially community colleges are just, they're rolling in dough. So you go there, and the room is literally state of the art. Every once in a while, I'll go someplace, and the people will be literally embarrassed, and they'll say, "Oh my God, our technology is not working in this room." I don't blink, because they can't understand that I work without technology on a daily basis. And so the facilities may be subpar at some Black institutions. And the institution I'm referring to, it's rare. We had probably about a 5-6 year period where it was rare to have a projector where you could show a video. I'm a historian, and I would love to show. I didn't have a projector, but I had everything else. If I had a projector, everything else would have worked. And what we discovered was that students had basically come into the classrooms under the cover of darkness and had literally used a ladder, climbed up, and stole the projector out of the ceiling.
Wow.
And had those projectors over in their rooms playing Madden, Call of Duty, and all those different types of things. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into the frustration of a caring Black educator, that if you're just looking at that one incident, I guarantee you it was 1,000 paper cuts that led him to that. And he could have very well seen some promise, some intelligence in this young man that he was blowing up at. And if you look at the video closely, you'll see that the student next to him has his head down, cracking up laughing. That's just adding up fuel to the fire. It's a level of immaturity. There used to be a saying within Black America when we were sending our children somewhere. It's an old saying, and that saying was, "Now don't go showing your color," meaning you're a representation of me and everybody else around you. Don't you dare go out there and ruin and sully our name. I yield, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. And I want to welcome Mayat to the program. Mayat says that these C19 students built differently. They only care about social media and trending topics. And it seems like what started that was the teacher said something about his phone or touched his phone. And, it takes on flight from there. Now, we don't know whether that was a high school or a middle school.
Looked like it would have been about a middle school.
Middle school, okay. And so with you being a college professor, are you seeing that type of thing where they're more interested in social media and trending topics versus, getting their head in the books and doing what need to be done?
Most certainly. It's with our children now. I can tell you it's feast or famine. They're either going to be really engaged, and those who are engaged, you can tell what type of parental guidance that they've had. It's a lie to have the belief that it's the majority of our children who don't have any home training or what have you. Majority of them do have home training. However, there is a combination of going with the crowd. I refuse to use the word peer pressure. I believe it's going with the crowd. It's a desire to have a good time, because in every way they can't. And this is for me the difference between maturity and inexperience. These people can't see beyond 2 weeks, and that's an issue right there.
Wow. And also I want to look at Deacon of Reality comment about very unprofessional.
Yeah, let me finish my point. I had to
okay.
ask somebody to ask my sister to turn down her TV, but it's one of those where they're 17, 18 years old, 19, 20, first time away from home, devoid of parental guidance, and they want to experience the college life, the social life. And they've been steeped for the past. These children now have never lived in a world where the internet didn't exist. That's an issue. They've never lived in a world where social media has not been an accelerant for them, and it's impacted them in ways that, unless you deal with them face to face, you would never realize. It has shortened their ability to communicate. It has shortened their attention span. Now, if you can't get it within 30 seconds, you're going to lose them. And it has to be entertaining. If it's not entertaining, they're going to turn you off, and they're not going to learn. Yet at the exact same time, they are experts at working the system and fighting for their rights. They've been empowered. And to be honest with you, their word carries more weight than any teacher, any professor, what have you. And they're very quick. They'll go to, if not the dean, they'll go to the president on you. Okay. And be wrong all day long. But they're going to make your life a living hell, because every school has a student process for student complaints and things like that. And I remember having a student complaint, and the student lost at the division level. We have these different tiers. Okay, she lost her appeal at the division level. She went to the college level. She went to the dean. Okay, she lost there. She went to the university level. Okay, to the president. She lost there. She went to the board of regents, the white folk who are sitting above the Texas A&M University system. She lost there. However, I had to appear at every single hearing. So my entire break was spent fighting this thing for like over a year.
Wow.
And it's a way of trying to, all they care about is the grade. They don't care about the learning. Some of them, they just care about the grade. What grade am I going to get? What, and I have colleagues. I had somebody who had some major power within the university tell me, Jones, why do you make your life so hard? Just pass. They ain't going nowhere anyway.
Wow.
And there's a, for some of us, like I said, and I would venture to guess that this brother right here that we caught at one of his worst moments, there's some of us who care so much that we're not willing to do that. That we're going to say, no, you're going to sit your, because we know what's coming. Whereas there's a huge population that are looking at schools as really a stepping stone. You'll find a lot of non-Black educators going to really urban schools, because there used to be, I'm pretty sure the program is probably still intact, that if they work there for so many years, 2 or 3 years, all their student loans are forgiven.
Mm.
And so they'll go up in there, they'll work for that period, and the day that's over, boom, they out of there. And it relates a why you were there. You're not there to uplift the kids. You're there to survive until you can get this debt off your back, and then you move on. And you have to, if any other industry, let's say airline pilots
Mhm.
who've had some problems themselves with pay and what have you. But if the average career of an airline pilot was less than 2 years, we would have a congressional inquiry as to why.
Mm.
And people believe that by paying teachers more, you're going to get a different teacher. You're not. You're going to get teachers who have more money, but you're not necessarily getting teachers who care.
Wow. So what is your, well, before I get to that, let me deal with what Deacon of Reality talked about it being very unprofessional. They're as professional, this commercial that GMC used to have that said, we're professional grade, so there's a standard.
Yeah.
There's a standard. And as you said, we're looking at our brother in his worst moment. Is there any way that you can look at that and say, well, he's still being professional?
Yes. Yes, and I'll tell you why. And you would really have to be in the field to understand this. I can't name a single African American male professor that I've worked with that's a colleague, even the brothers that I went to grad school with, who don't have a similar story of that moment for them in their career. And it's not that he's being unprofessional. He cares so much, he's come unhinged. Okay, they've worn him down, and it's almost, I don't know if you've ever had a dream that you couldn't wake up from. Really a nightmare that you couldn't wake up from. It can get like that for you. And Black educators will tell you that, yeah, it can get like that for you. So I don't see that as being unprofessional. I see that as a moment where you're really getting a chance to see this brother's heart and what he wakes up with every day and what he goes and deals with all day, every day. He is dealing with children who are mocking him, who know that he can't hit them. Okay. There was a time in our community where the men, it was a general agreement amongst the village, where if you had a child that was unruly that needed to be tuned up, you took his ass somewhere and tuned his ass up and got him right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of the matter is that we need him to develop, because we're fighting for the survival of Black folk. We ain't got we have no room for no clownishness, none whatsoever. So the idea, I mean, because what is the alternative? The alternative is, okay, just let them act a fool, let them clown, okay? And they're going to have some memories, but by the time they hit 22, 23 years old, they're either going to be in prison or they're going to be experiencing such a grinding level of poverty that they're not going to be able to stand it. And so I think that the educator's position is always to teach and to uplift. I mean, think about it. Think about it this way. What if Brother Malcolm or Minister Farrakhan were speaking and that type of foolishness was going on? It would be addressed in a number of ways. in a number of ways.
Mhm.
Versus if you bring somebody in here who has, God forbid, a plethora of issues going on at home. There's been no mentoring. There's been no structuring. There's been no correction there. Um, that person is at that point, at that moment, unreachable, and one has to be a master teacher to even get their attention. And one of the questions that I've frequently got, because there's a sister who works with me. She's one of the counselors. I told her, I said, I swear, for God, I'll be glad when you retire,
Mm.
because she gets the list of individuals who are struggling within the university. And if they are Black men, she puts them in my class.
Mm.
And she said, I'm I'm putting them in your class, because many of my students have never heard um, Reaganomics explained through talking about um, hip hop, talking
Mm.
about the message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, dealing with Face Mob, Scarface. These kids are down here in Houston. Talking about my mind playing tricks on me is actually a cry for mental health. But you have to care enough and have the skills and the exposure to be able to talk with these children, to reach them, because they're at a whole different point. And the scary part that I'm going to say, that you might consider to be impossible, is going to be somebody has gotten my bed now. But the scary part is that, and one of my students said this to me, and it kind of astonished me. He said, "Doc, you think we bad? You wait till my brother and them get here." He said, "They don't even get off of those phones during dinner time."
Mm.
So it's going to get worse.
Mm.
It's going to really get worse. It's going to get much, 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 much worse.
Wow. I want to share screen one more time, because I want to deal with these questions
Mhm.
or these statements that the viewers who watch the video were making. And I find it real interesting. Now, nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows the teacher or know the students.
Mhm.
But the first comment that says, you can tell he was one of the nice teachers too. This one got 24,203 likes.
Yeah.
Don't know the teacher from, Jack Skip, but just watching the video, they can tell, and 24,000 people agreed that you can tell that this was a nice teacher.
Well, I would say that he is. He still is. He still cares.
Mm.
I can tell you. I can recognize what it looks like when they've let that rope go.
Mm.
When you've let that rope go, I can, for me, if you hear me say right on, I'm not listening to nothing you saying, and
Mm.
nothing that about you is gonna move me.
Mm.
But when you look at the fire is still there, the interest and the urge is still there. But there's a I had a young man who probably about last summer, he was in my class, and you could tell he was from a depraved background. And this is a young man that, believe it or not, was actually recruited to play football at Texas
Mm.
A&M University. He's so a tremendous athlete, but he couldn't go there. He had to go to a junior college first because of grades. And he comes up to me and he says, "Doc, I ain't had no father. I ain't had no male figure." I would like for you to be my mentor. And I'm like, okay, all right, I said, this is your first assignment. Get here tomorrow on time, not high.
Mm.
He couldn't do it. Well, he didn't do it. It reminds me of, and I'm sure I'm sure that I sent you those pictures of the students who were in my class, and they were watching Make It Plain with Malcolm X. He was one of those. He was one of those that was asleep, and yet he's asking me to serve as his mentor. And there's a, this is why the home is so important. There's a certain level of discipline that comes from having a man in the house, having a father in the house. Me and my father, my sister and my dad are like best fucking friends. Okay. I ain't like that with him. Okay. And I'll tell you why I'm not like that with him is because he raised me and loved me and treated me like a man. Okay. And it's just what it is. And so I don't have those lovey-dovey feelings. You get what I'm saying? But at the exact same time, he provided me structure. He provided me this. He provided me that. I had to work at the steel mill where he worked at, and I'll never forget being mad at him because I'm like, yo, I'm getting up going to work every day. Yo, you ain't getting up going nowhere. And I didn't know he was on vacation. And he was like, hey, bro, I didn't work. If you don't get up out of here, he said, but you better be there on time. And it was not a question of was I going? If I should go, you'll be there.
Right.
And there's something about discipline and impulse control. But I mean, look at this video from the standpoint of not the teacher, but those students. Look at it. Look at the posture. You got hoods on, heads down. Imagine going and teaching in that situation every day. Imagine. And for them, Richard Majors wrote this book that has this great construct on it called The Cool Pose. The black men, black boys, they learn how to be cool. And that's where they get their social importance and currency. And to break that cool pose leads to ostracism and being damaged by your peers. There you go. So anyways, when I look at that, I see the cool pose right there.
Maya says, ain't no way a student could disrespect me and pass the class. They better pick a struggle.
Well, let me give you a little heads up of what's happening in the K through 12 classroom. You can no longer flunk them.
What?
Nobody flunks.
What you mean?
Social promotion. No one flunks anymore. Okay, you can't give them an F. Okay, even if they do nothing, they get a 50. You cannot fail them anymore. You have to remember that school funding and raises are predicated upon student success. They're taking these end of the road standardized tests. Okay. You can't fail them anymore. It's against the rules. Okay. Yeah, in Florida, in Texas, you cannot fail them. And you're dealing with a situation now where the educational system is broken, but it's not really the educational system that's broken. It's the product that is arriving in these schools that are broken. And you have a situation where these children are they don't see a difference between themselves and adults,
Mm,
which comes from the home.
mm,
And if you have no reverence for the educator, for the teacher, you'll have no reverence for anyone. You know, you have to, I mean, really think about it. This is for people who have preachers and pastors in their family. You'll find that a lot of them don't have much respect for the man of God, because they know that man of God is just merely a man who's willing to do anything. Many of these children don't have reverence for the preacher, because they haven't been raised up in the church, or the preacher man then did some stuff around the community that they know. So it would take a special person. And this moment right here that we're witnessing and that we're watching is the accumulation and the culmination of what it's like to be a teacher who cares.
mm, mm, mm. Wow. So, Doc, since the problem is not the books, the problem is not the teachers, the problems are the children.
Now, well, I didn't say that. I didn't
Huh?
say that. I didn't say that. Every element of what you just named is a problem. Every
Okay.
aspect of it. And see, you have to really look at it from this lens, okay? Jawanza Kunjufu, who's a brilliant Black educator who actually changed my life with one conversation. But Jawanza Kunjufu tells his story that he had went to a school he had been paid to come in and recruit Black males to become teachers. And he said, I sat there and I listened to these brothers give 800 reasons on why become teachers. That wasn't, no, they don't get paid. They don't, and them badass kids and blah, 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 blah. And they talked about the kids so bad, he said. And in the back of his mind, he said, now, if these are Black folk talking about Black children this way, how does the average teacher who's a white female look at our children?
Mhm.
So every element of what you're talking about is a factor. The textbook, these kids have been, by the time they reach me, they've been so dumbed down that it doesn't make any sense, because they haven't heard anything. They haven't seen themselves or heard themselves. However, I'll say this as well, that even with what I do, and I go overboard, okay, if I know that I'm dealing with a classroom that's full of Houstonians, I talk about DJ Screw, okay, I talk about Mike Watts, I talk about Rap a Lot, to sort of frame it within a cultural framework of what it is that we're discussing. That still is often not enough to get them to buy in. Period.
Wow. I want to welcome Brother Willie Rivers into the program. Peace and blessings, Brother Willie.
Peace, brother.
Doc, what is the solution then? What would you consider the solution be? I'm a person that believes in strong law. I don't believe in tolerating foolishness at all.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your, if they came to you and said, Dr. Jones, what needs to be done so that we can cure this problem and make these children teachable? What would your answer be?
Returning back to basics. The idea that the mother is the first teacher is something that can't be overlooked. If you're talking about saving Black America, the main primary building block for any great race is the family. We have to get Black families back together. And you have to somehow, some way reactivate the process of socialization and education within Black America that occurred within Black America. so much of what has happened to us is that we're no longer valuing the substantive things. We're valuing consumer goods. Black America. I mean, think about what's getting ready to happen here in a couple of days. You're going to see Black folk go in a hell of amount of debt for Christmas. Now, in talking about that, how many books are going to be purchased?
Mm.
How many computers? How many tablets or what have you are going to be purchased for the purpose of education versus social media?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I was thinking today while I was at work, and it was like, as you said, Black people out here spending big time money,
Mhm.
and they give the credit to some fat cracker who ain't did nothing. And they're telling you're teaching your child, Santa Claus did this for you, Santa Claus did this. And they grow up looking to white folks, expecting to get something, while you go out every day to go to work and do this and do that, to slave so you can bring something home and get no thanks.
Yeah, but
But
see, my thing is that in a way, if we were in our right racial mind, that would be an acceptable story, because our children would know that anything that came from outside of our community, from someone who didn't look like us, is something that should be viewed with skepticism. But we haven't done that. We've allowed our children, and you can talk to folk, in the 70s and 80s, who'll tell you, yeah, we believe that the white man's ice was colder. And when you're talking about, when you're really looking at the true nature of what's happening to the Black mind, you've allowed people who have no interest, they actually have a vested interest in you not succeeding, to set up an educational system that allows them to have almost sole access to your children's mind, because you're so busy out and about trying to make ends meet, to raise rent, a mortgage payment or what have you, to keep living. And they're basically saying, listen, you need to know these facts. We're going to give you 100 facts, and maybe one of them will have Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks on them. But you know these facts, and we're going to go ahead and give you a piece of paper that's going to allow you to get a job. You'll know nothing about yourself. You won't be able to think beyond the one, maybe two steps ahead. Damn, they got us. They got us, and you're not going to break that hold. You'll never break that hold as long as your children are there. And you're talking about cultural formations and the message. I mean, when you really think about that message of what Blackness is right now, for so many of our people, is Sexy Red and Sukihana and those types of characters. And you find so many of our people sort of gravitating to that and going after it as if it's the Holy Grail. And all they're doing is treading water, if that. Because there's nothing wrong with Black folk beyond what they have been socialized to be and to think about themselves. And I spoke with a young man. I was actually waiting in line with all the other people because I wanted to watch the concert from the audience perspective. I didn't want to be backstage. I didn't want to be away from the audience, but I was waiting. It was a Big Crit concert, and there was a young man who was standing in line, maybe two behind me, and every statement that he made started with nigga, blah 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 blah, nigga, blah, 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 blah. And one of my students, happened to be coming to the same concert. He walked up. He was like, "Yo, Doc, you gonna what you doing?" And blah blah blah. I said, "Yo, I'm gonna write a piece about Crip and about hip hop and this and that and blah blah blah." And the young man heard that and he was like, "Oh, nigga, you blah." I said, "Man, let me ask you this: is in your mind the word nigga providing you with permission to speak and think?"
Mm.
I said, "Because you say nigga before you say anything every single time. I've listened to you for 15 minutes." And he said, "Nick," and then he said, "Damn, I hadn't thought about it like that." I said, "Yeah, man, you might want to check that." But for so many of our people, they want to belong, they want to be in the in crowd, and no one wants to be ostracized, especially young people. Nobody wants to be that cat that gets picked on, that gets that's considered a lame, a simp, and what have you. So they begin to sort of model and pattern some of these things that we know, and they know, if they're being honest, are not positive or good for them.
Mm. Back when we deal with men, black men, and talk about manhood, we when the what's his name, Terry Crews
Terry
incident
Crews,
came out, right? And the white man at
Chocolate
the
Thunder.
party grabbed his genitals, and he
Yeah.
did all that weak shit.
Yeah.
Where does the process begin to demasculate the black child? Where does that process begin dealing with our boys? Or is it done once you reach manhood, once you reach adult? When does that actually start?
It starts at different points in different places for black men. I mean, there is no one place that you can say, well, this is where it started for all of us. You often will see, probably most likely place is seeing a home where men are not there. Also, a situation. I'm trying to not look at the comments. Also, sitting there and looking at a situation. I was associated with a family that only had one adult elder male involved, and they treated him like shit. Okay, as if he wasn't shit. They'd be like, "Yo, Uncle such and such, you need to just sit down and shut the fuck up." And these were kids who were saying this. Okay, not adults, kids. And where they learn it from? They learned it from the women within the family.
Mm.
So what are the male children who are growing up learning? What are the female children who are growing up learning about manhood? That's one spot. Another spot is quite simply, this is a personal one. I still remember this very well. My then wife had some type of birthday party that she was taking our son to, one of her fellow teachers. And I'm there, despite what you probably think, I'm not very social. I'm not a social butterfly. But I'm in the living room and they were in another room and all the kids were there. It's a birthday party. And the kids were up on a couch. And my son was on the floor on his knees, acting like he was a dog.
Mm.
And they would jump around and they were kicking at him and I just snatched him up by the back of his neck. And I took him to the other room. I said, "You are a man.
Mm.
You will be a man. You're not a dog. You're not a puppy. You're nobody's entertainment."
Mm.
Okay. That is not what we do. You are a Jones man. You will not do that again ever in your life. You have value. Okay. You are somebody in this world. Now, what if that message isn't delivered that early? Because it obviously needed to be, and this is my child. So it obviously needed to be delivered very, very sternly and very, very strongly. Okay. That ain't who you are. And I often reflect upon that moment because I'm like, what if I wasn't there? What if I wasn't present in his life? You know, one of the reasons for me never leaving Houston, Texas, is that's where my child is. Okay. And you know how the divorce proceedings go and shit. You know, the only thing I asked was a geographical restriction upon my child. You know, and all that. Well, you know, I wanted to move to North Carolina, and Judge said, "Yo, you can move to North Carolina, but James can't go." So that's why I always remained in Houston, because my son needs me. Period. You know, so where does it begin? I believe it begins in a whole lot of different places. I believe that it you know, when you're looking at emasculated males, you're seeing them trying to escape the wrath of a woman who is representing their mother. So they're going to go along with it. They're going to, you know, someone very close to me, you know, we were talking about marriage and all of that. And I told him, I said, yo, no, I can't stand for you to be verbally abusive towards me. I can't do that. And he said, well, you don't want no black woman then. And I'm like, wow. So that's the ticket to be berated, to be, you know, and I refuse to believe that is all black women. I just refuse to believe that. I can't believe that. If I love black folk, I can't fucking believe that type of shit. Okay. But it starts for a lot of us in different places. And then it's often stripped from us when you have, you know, those two qualifiers, which are quite simply being a provider and a protector.
Doc, I want to go ahead.
In this economy, black men by and large are tenuously employed, always. Go ahead.
I want to go a little bit more into the situation you just gave us about your son, and have you explain, because some people may say, well, he's just playing. He's just playing. You know,
yeah,
children play. They play like dogs and cats and monsters all day. Why would you overreact?
Because I need him to develop into a man. Period. That's out of bounds. That's not what we do. That's no more possible for you than to have a Muslim child sitting down eating ham sandwiches all day. That's out of bounds. We have to have standards. We have to have some guardrails for our children's lives. Okay. So yeah, I can see how somebody would say, well, he's just playing. He's using his imagination. No. As a person who can see further down the road and understands where I want him to go and understands who he is, because he's half of me. And I see in attitude, behavior, and structure who he is. I gotta form and shape his world in a way that there are certain things that even when he's outside of my sight, he knows that he shouldn't do. Now, if he does it, he's going to have to suffer the consequences of it. Okay. But there are several overarching things that are, for me, non-starters. That's reckless parenting, where you see the espousal and the articulation of things that are not going to make them strong, responsible adults who are capable of taking care of themselves when I leave. It's child abuse.
Mm.
Life is not a fucking game. And he needs to understand that. My job as a parent is to prepare him and to provide some resources for when I leave, he can take care of himself in the next generation. Because I want to see James Thomas Jones V before I leave.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I want to read this from Narmer X comments and get your thinking on it. He says, before I learned of our ancestors' history, before slavery, my only frame of mind was to be equal to the pale man. After I learned about Kemet and Moors, I strive to be better than them. Then he also says that just that distinction makes so much of a difference. Do you think that makes a difference, Doc? Because I would say that probably the majority of our Black males or Black children, period, don't get to know the difference between what white folks teach you as history and then what is our history as a people. Do you think that really makes a difference when it comes to a man being a man and not letting anybody snatch your manhood from you?
Well, certainly it makes a world of difference. You know, it's that square that you're gonna stand on. You know, even though I'm here in Ohio and I'm I'm in my hometown, but I'm still, I'm a pattern person. I like things to be the way I like for them to be, and I'm thrown off when they're not. I felt off. I got here, I guess, on Wednesday, and I haven't been able to get a workout in. And so today I was like, the gym is probably about 20 miles away. I'm like, if I got to walk to that gym, I'm going to the gym. I'm getting me a lift in. And I'm sitting there at the gym, and this is just a common thing for me. I'm sitting on a bench right in front of a mirror. And I realize that this lift, this whole thing that I'm doing, this is about me. They're irrelevant to me. They're not a challenge to me. I'm challenging me. And and my thing is that this matter that Narmer X is bringing up was addressed by Malcolm in one of his speeches, where he says, who is he to be equal to? You're nowhere to be equal with him. Why your skin look like gold compared to his skin. You find that old pale thing out on the beach using Mantan trying to get to look like you. There's a level of esteem that breeds a level of confidence that allows you to be a man at all times. One of the things that I deal with often is brothers who are confrontational and physically aggressive only with their own. And I'm like, yo, you want to know how I measure your courage and your manhood? Deal with those other folk like you trying to talk and deal with me. And they're, I would tell them, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, because as soon as they come in, you're going to shut the fuck up. And you're going to come up with an excuse about, well, this ain't the right time or place for me to be, acting like, look here, you bring it to me. I don't give a fuck if we in the middle of a church service. Like MC Light said, you want static? Yeah, we got to have it. Wherever you're going to pitch that tent of disrespect and ridiculousness, I give it to you right there. I'm not lowering my voice. I'm not doing any of those things. So understand that my laid back, quiet demeanor, the old lion still roars. And if you bring it to him, ain't no telling what's going to happen.
Exactly. Doc, what does it, and I know you don't know, you can't answer this by experience, but what do you think it takes for a man, this, you use Terry Crews,
Mhm.
for another man to come and grab your genitals
Mhm.
and sexually assault you?
Mhm. Which that's what that was. That's,
Exactly.
if we're going to be in this equality situation and what have you, yeah, that's what that was.
Mm-hmm. And in my eyes, he didn't respond appropriately,
Of course
right?
not.
Um, to me, it's like his manhood was taken from him.
Well, I mean, his manhood is not his single top priority. His top priority is remaining in the good graces of those white folk and those other folk, within the Hollywood community. Because I can with the bizarro world that we live in on a daily basis, this realm, there's a very good argument that could be made if he had reacted angrily and physically, that he was being anti-LGBTQ.
Say what?
Oh yeah, you could have that argument for, and the thing is that the argument doesn't have to be logical. It just has to be able to hold sway with the masses of people, or a significant portion of the people. I could see people saying quite simply, so what's the problem with that? Are you that homophobic that if a man brushes or grabs your genitals that you turn to physical violence? That frightens me, Terry. That frightens me. Yeah, that's the world that we're living in. Let's be clear on that, because nobody's talking about Terry Crews being sexually assaulted in public. That's worse than what Puff them been doing to these girls behind the scenes. At least they did it behind the scenes. But his top priority is keeping that position in Hollywood. And there's you can be proud in home and not working, period. And that's the world that he lives in. So on the one hand, you and I, we can't even imagine that. Okay. But if he wants to keep working, yeah, that's what it's going to cause.
And this next video that we're going to go to, there's a brother actor, Christian Keys. We're not going to watch the whole video because it's over an hour, but we're going to watch just part of it. And he's dealing with sexual assault. He's been sexually assaulted for years. And part of the video, in the beginning of it, and we'll see it, he stops to pray.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mesmerized. I'm like, wait a minute. You stopping to pray, but your ass being sexually assaulted for years.
Mm-hmm.
And you just now coming to say something, but you holding back the name of the nigga that's supposed to be sexually assaulting you.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you still got a nerve to say that God is this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You're not speaking your language, not adding up. It ain't adding up. It seems to me that you really don't know God. Your manhood ain't there. It's been taken at some point. And so
well, now wait a minute, hold on. I think that you're making an assumption that he ever had it.
That could be right. That could be right. Do you think um, those who are in Hollywood and Diddy, as you talked about what he did behind closed doors,
brother love.
and they allow these demons to operate, to take, I watched the guy that was on the show with Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson. The
Also in Flow?
No, not that one. There's a TV show that used to come on with them two. And her name was Cookie in the TV show. I don't remember the name of it, but she was Cookie.
It's not Power. It's I know what you're talking about. They were like a music family.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah.
Right, like Maya said, Empire.
Empire,
you,
yeah.
Maya. Empire, exactly, on Empire. Now, one of her sons, not the one who faked the crime, not that one, but the little boy, the teenage boy,
Jesse Smollett.
Yeah, not him, but the other son. He was allegedly, because I don't know actual facts, but it's come out that he done said he was screwed by Diddy, and he was screwed physically by Will Smith. And when he got fed up with it, then they cut off his access to roles in movies in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now, what is it, Doc? Is this Hollywood influence money takes away your soul that you can't even say, you can't stick that in me. That's not what I do.
No, I mean, it's once again, like going back to Terry Crews, if at the top of his list of priorities is maintaining his frame and his manhood, he would have wore old boy out. Okay. These cats, and it's to be honest with you, it's not just Hollywood. I see this in academia as well. It's oh yeah. It's not based upon, we all got PhDs. We all write, we all research, we all got, so why do some make it and some don't? And that's one of the things they somehow got hit.
Okay, Doc has froze up.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
But it's that's how you make it. One person, right? I mean, in corporate America, if you want to make it, find yourself a fast rising VP and ingratiate yourself to them and let them know that you're going to be loyal to them, and that's how that's going to happen. Hollywood is worse. I mean, come on. And it comes down to, we often talk about a Faustian deal, a deal with the devil. The devil gonna always get his due, and the thing is that they're no different than other folk who want to be around fame. Okay. It ain't the person they trying to be around. It's their access to monies that would allow them to buy some bullshit, a whole bunch of bullshit that's never going. You're basically creating a hole in your soul that you're going to try and pour money and material things into. Nah, you got to deal with that hole in your soul. You're dealing with a soul problem. It's similar to having physical hunger, and you go read a book. You can read as many books as you want to. It ain't gonna never deal with that physical hunger that you're dealing with. So these people are selling their souls. They're compromising a major part of their soul. And it's hard for me to respect their cries and their pleas, because their cries and their pleas are in many ways an admission of, yeah, I sold my soul. Now help me. No, no, you got your due. You got the limelight. You got that fame for a period of time. You were able to go ahead and skip the line to go, and get into the club and to buy a Maserati, buy whatever it is that they buy, and you have no peace, none whatsoever. And it's you've in many ways become the monsters that have exploited and desecrated our ancestors, because those are your priorities. Your priorities are not uplifting. It's not being an upright individual. Your priority is, I need a bunch of stuff. I need a bigger house. And once I get a bigger house, I need a mini mansion. Once I get a mini mansion, I'm going to need a full-blown man. Then I'm going to need two of them. And then I'm going to need a helicopter. And you see it within the church. You see it. Kanye West talked about this in one of his, in his song, All Falls Down. Because they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. That's why Shorty's holler where the ball is at. Okay? So these people are selling portions of their souls. They're compromising themselves. And if you're not willing to compromise, you're not going to get ahead. One of the questions that I had about, I was at a conference, and I'm sitting there talking with somebody, a complete stranger, who actually knew one of the new VPs that my school had hired. And they said, I cannot believe they hired him. And I'm like, really? And she says, oh yeah, he's raped people, he's a womanizer, he's this, that, and blah, 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 blah. And this is a brother who has had probably 10 VP jobs, right? And I'm talking when I get back to campus, I mentioned the conversation with one of my colleagues, and he said, Jones, you'll never make it to that level. And I'm like, damn, really? He said, nah, you'll never make it to that level. He said, because your name and your reputation precedes you. And people know that there are certain things that you ain't gonna stand for. Okay. He says, what you're witnessing with all these people doing this job hopping, going from place to place and this and that, and they're never anywhere more than 2 years. They all know what each other does, and they all have dirt on each other. So you lost your job here, bro. Oh, yo, I'm gonna bring you over here so that you don't tell what I did. They're all in cahoots with each other. It's an immoral group of individuals. I mean, and it's not that I believe all women. Lord knows I don't. Just I don't. I need more evidence. However, nobody says the same thing about you for 10 years, and that shit ain't true. Okay, we got some rascals, men and women, within our community, and it's just what it is. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Wow. This we're going to go check and look at this video real quick. Like I said, we're not going to watch the whole thing, just some parts of it.
Cut the TV down. What's going on, man? I want to talk to you about some stuff. And it's been on my heart, so I want to speak on it. All right. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing amazing. I've been speaking to my brother about making a declaration of my experience. What I experienced with certain powers that be that were moving inappropriately. And I really, it's in my bone, to discuss that because thankfully God built me the way that He built me, but I'm not sure, based on this person's claims and brags, that he's literally got at the same time this person was sexually harassing me for years. He's claiming, that he had multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. And clearly, that's why it felt to him that it was okay to say these things. And I want to have these discussions. I want to be transparent with y'all about that. I've done my best to forgive this person, but it happens. It happens. It's not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes. And it would be men tempting men. And that's why a lot of my posts over the last few years have been about taking the scenic route, taking the long way around, because if that means that you can carry your integrity with you, then, and it's 11:11. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for another opportunity to connect with you. Please forgive my sins, my shortcomings, my bad decisions, and my mistakes. Please continue to guide and protect us as only you can. Everybody that's watching, it's not a presentation. If I see 11:11, try to have another conversation with God. So thank you, Heavenly Father. I appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. We respect you. That's interesting. But there are people that will and have and will continue to, unfortunately, offer these things. And some of them are your heroes. Some of them are people who you're like, oh yeah, such and such is amazing, and he does this and he does that. Yeah, but he also does this and that. At some point soon, it's gonna have to come out. I've kept one of these on me since 05. Whether it's a keychain recorder or a pen, because most predators would check your phone. And once the sexual harassment started, I was like, well, I got to protect me, because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work. So I started recording. So I have them offering me money to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with them or for them. I have recordings of them confessing that, the other guys that they have on the payroll, all of the above. And the difference is, the wonderful thing about confidentiality agreements and non-disclosure agreements is that they can't prevent you from turning all of those things over to the police, because sexual harassment is a crime. Attempted sexual assault is a felony. And Tams, you literally just asked, why do we as Black people have to deal with that? But sometimes it's our own people. Sometimes it's our own heroes. It's sometimes it's the very people we deal from. And we look up like, oh, they're doing so much, they're doing so much. No, they're also doing this. And my only reservation about naming the people, there was directors along the way, like, hey, you read for this, that, and the other. You want to come back up to the apartment? I'm like, nah, I'm good. You got my headshot, my resume. I'm good. If I can handle it or not. I can do that. But I don't need to come up to your apartment. We already had the audition. There's other people that I want to say everything, and my brother is like, no, not yet. I want to tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. I want to speak on it. And the good news is that they don't even have to believe me. Hopefully they would, but even if they don't, they can hear this person. Since sexual harassment started, I've carried many recorder devices, keychains, pens, thumb drives, with a charged battery that get 6, 7, 8 hours, all the above. So I have the conversation. I really want to air that shit out because it bothers me alone at night. The world is celebrating this person. They don't even know the shady and predatory way in which this person moves, and the way that predators resent the prey that gets away. So when you don't say yes, when you don't say okay, I'll acquiesce, and sign up, and literally and figuratively play ball, but you're not doing that, they resent you. This is a conversation we're going to have because it bothers me. I can forgive you. That's one thing. But yeah, we don't play ball. That's my brother in there. And he knows the real deal. He knows the who. I'm good. Somebody said, you don't look okay. I'm okay. I have peace. I'm literally strategically planning my next 8 moves. I'm good. God got me, because he was watching when I was offered these opportunities and I didn't say yes. I didn't sell my soul or my ass. Excuse my French, guys. I mean, some of y'all, hopefully y'all and the kids around, but I didn't sell nothing for success. Like, nah, that's not what I want. I ain't into that. I ain't into dudes. I got the only beard in the bed policy. Mine is the only beard in the bed. You ain't doing nothing. I don't get out like that. And these people kept on for years. Sexual harassment is a crime. Attempted sexual assault is a felony. And where I'm at now is that in the middle of the night, I think about if I'm brave enough to name a person. I'll take a polygraph live. I'll take 5 polygraphs live. And I'll pass all of them because it's the truth. It's one several. And it's a shame, but I think it's not. I want to, Piggy, I know you're on here. I want to say everything. And I have proof. It's not like I'm just making false accusations. I intentionally let the statute of limitations expire. It's not about money, but I'm gonna have to take the receipts, the recordings down to the police department and let them hear this individual. I wasn't working for him in the month and the year that he showed up to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you naked. I declined because, again, scenic group, I got my integrity with me. I'll take the long way around. But being that I wasn't working with him and we were in my apartment, he had visited my apartment to offer me a job of this fall because the lead of this particular project was going to do something else, so he needed another lead. I recorded it because I didn't trust him, and I had told him over and over, and he still always tried shit. Just tried shit. So if people don't believe me, they can hear him in his voice. I have always kept something on me. Always. Even if my phone is off. Something else is, if I'm around somebody that has tried to sexually harass me, pressure me, intimidate me into some nonsense, I've always kept something on me so I can protect myself, because if they're that powerful and they feel that entitled, then they can also try to get in the way of your work. I want to speak on it. I also want to keep making great things and creating jobs and opportunities. But, oh no, I got backups for the backups for the backups for the backups. I've watched way too many Jason Bourne movies not to have 15 backups. I can press play and you can hear the person and you'll know immediately who the person is that's offering me $100 grand to strip. You'll know right away, and it'll break your heart. I won't have to say the person's name, but I can and I will. I don't mind doing a polygraph or 3 or 5 on live TV, and I'll pass all of them because it's the truth. This industry is something else. It's wonderful, and we get to chase our dreams, and we get to live other lives. I get to be a judge or an FBI agent. I get to be a girl dad. And some of the people that you think are your mentors are literally and figuratively just trying to fuck you. I have documentation from the dealership for the car that they tried to buy as an apology for offering me $100 grand to strip. It's time. I really want to just clear the air because I'm tired. And then where I'm at now, if it still feels like that person is fucking with you just to fuck with you, just to mess with you. The industry can be wonderful. I'm grateful, be clear, that this person showed me how not to be. When I'm a boss, people get daps and church hugs. The attractive women that work on even on my shows, my productions, they getting daps and church hugs. That's it. Because this person showed me how not to be when I'm in charge and when I build something
and when I created something. I hear you, Purnell. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna dial it back. You get on my nerves because I know you're right, but it's in my fucking bone marrow, and I'm tired of this person gallivanting around doing these PR stunts. Oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do that. Well, then speak on, if you gonna have, woo! We're gonna have a conversation, y'all, really soon. Really, really soon. Really soon. And I thank God that he made me the way that I am, because I know he sat back and watched, like, what are you gonna do? Like, are you going to acquiesce and take this movie that's gonna make 60, 70, 80 million dollars? Are you gonna take this picture? Are you gonna go to that late night audition, that late night table read? No, you ain't built me like that. I'm beat, shot at, stomped out more than most of the people that are here on this live put together. P, I'm gonna call you in a minute. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna air it out, but I'm so fucking close because I'm tired. I'm tired. And it needs to be told. And the bad part is I'm gonna be painted as the villain when I was the one that was sexually harassed for years, bullied, intimidated, and sexually harassed for years. And I'm gonna be painted as the villain because y'all have deified this person. And then if a person tells you over and over, first of all, in general, you have no right to touch anybody. None. Now, that's why I'm careful. Like when I do my shows and everything, you know, it says church hugs. I put the veils on and I kiss people on the hair up here. Nothing sexual, nothing weird, nothing crazy. And I'm trusting that, you know, the fans will receive that out of a place of love and connection. But you are not allowed to touch somebody without their permission. Not allowed to try to touch them in a sexual or private place without their permission. And if they've already declared, like, hey, bruh, I get that that's your thing, but I like black women and Hennessy. And so miss me with the bullshit, because I'm never going to be open to that. I'm never going to swing at that pitch. Like I'm batting for this team over here. God made ovaries and fallopian tubes and vagina, labia majora, labia minora, uterus. It's just wonderful over here. So I'm going to stay over here, like, chill. And then this person still tries to grab you, physically grab you. Cassie speaking out has given me, has reminded me about not just me, because it was brutal going through it, because it lasted for years. But her speaking out, people need to know. And the funny thing is, predators like that, they resent the prey that got away. They resent the prey that got away. The prey that didn't fold, the prey that didn't acquiesce and say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take this L.
Okay, so like I said, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I think we've all heard enough. Doc, what's your first thinking on what you've heard thus far?
You know, it was one of the most frustrating things for me to listen to. If he's interested in justice and healing, You need to just come on out and say it. This shit got over 400,000 views. You have a platform.
Mm-hmm.
So just come on out and say it. Instead of, it's almost as if he himself is playing the Hollywood, likes and popularity game. I'm going to be coy about this and not air it out. I'm not going to talk about it, but we'll talk soon. We'll talk real soon. Get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just come on out. And that therein once again is a person who has subsumed the idea of being a man, manhood dynamics, and what have you, and has put other priorities such as keeping his career going above his personal integrity. And you can sit up in here and you can allude to it. You can, it reminds me so much of like reality TV. Come back next week so that you can see what happens. And this nigga, get it over with. This is what it is. This is what it is. Okay. If and the thing is that did anything happen to him, or was he just proposition? Because if he was just proposition, he gonna be way down on the list of the line of what's going on. It was, to me, it didn't move me at all. It doesn't intrigue me at all, because ultimately, when you add it up, your failure to come out as a man and stridently say, these are one of the predators within our community, is irresponsible and reckless on your part, because you're allowing them to continue to exist in our midst.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't know why people don't understand, Doc, that by you keeping that quiet, by you keeping it hush, you helping the shit continue.
I mean,
you helping it continue.
If you want to take it to an absurd level, you will be an accessory that happens afterwards.
Exactly.
I know that people don't want to frame it like that, but that's the truth. Get it over with. Come out with it. What's the problem? The truth of the matter is that at least you will have your personal integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the truth of the matter is that he really doesn't have a problem with what's going on. He just doesn't want it to be applied to him. Leave me alone, but you can keep doing whatever you do with other people. If that were not it, because he still wants to be a part of the club, he still wants to be able to access those resources. Okay, all this innuendo, and if only you knew what was going on. It reminds me of remember in Living Color,
mm-hmm.
where Kim Wayans used to sit up in that window. Well, you ain't hear from me, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, that's what it's gossipy. It's it's girlish. This isn't how men communicate. Okay, it really isn't. And the truth of the matter is that with his communication pattern and in his style, I don't think he turned it down all the time. Because he's got a little something else going on there.
Wow. And what do you think about the person who keep telling him, somebody's in his Instagram sending them messages of don't say it, keep quiet, this type of thing? What do you think about a person that would do like that?
They're like him. That's why they're together. That's what it is. If that person exists, that person is of the same leanings that he is, and it's just what it is. And the truth of the matter is that when you listen to what it is he actually said, he's not righteous himself. Okay, just because you over here preying on women and what have you, that don't make you righteous either. You just have a different degree and level of sin going on.
Wow. So, Doc, for those who get in situations, get propositioned, and like you said, the argument could be made that they may say, well, what, you homophobic? You don't like me coming on to you?
Yeah.
what would be to keep your manhood intact, to keep you in as who you should be in the eyes of the God? How should they rightfully respond when somebody comes up and, you know, talks to you about it? Somebody comes up and grabs you about it. You know, what's the right way to respond in your idea?
Swiftly and sternly and directly. You know, and the truth of the matter is that you know, I work at a university, so of course we have members of the LGBTQ plus community there. You know, and I have students who are like that, and some of those students, I can tell you that they're people that I'm fond of, that you know, that I would consider to be friends. I don't denigrate them because of their sexual preference, their sexual leanings, or what have you. So I'll wait. Okay, I didn't know if you could hear me or not, but their sexual leanings and what have you. That's their bedroom politics. I'm no more in their bedroom than I'm in your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's something, and I've thought about this over the years. There's something wrong when you're leading with the intimate parts of your life in conversations and dealings with people who are not in your bed. There's something wrong there. Why are you leading with that? Why are you throwing that out? Why is that such a preoccupation? And in many ways, it could be considered very disrespectful to people of, as Dave Chappelle referred to, the alphabet people. That should be considered very disrespectful, because you're reducing and denigrating a community that I can tell you is, you know, has intelligence and geniuses and all of that, like every other population. You're reducing them to a sexual act. That should be offensive. Or are you trying to give us the impression that, quite simply, you have no impulse control when it comes to sex? This brother right here, he hemming and hawing. He's not coming from a male frame, not at all. Okay, he's beating around the bush. Oh, well, you know, I could tell it, but I keep a pen on me, so I take, and blah blah. It's as if he's getting paid for this social media bullshit now. Just say what you're gonna say.
Right. Interesting. I know immediately, you know, when a man says that he's been sexually harassed by other men for years, and that is still currently going on, and the thought comes to my mind, nigga, you ain't fixed that shit.
Thank you. You're moving in those circles, and you're remaining in those circles over years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what it is, you know. But this is the price that you're going to pay for inclusion into that club, and it's just what it is. Come on, nobody's surprised. I don't know how you could be surprised, even mildly surprised, when the next person steps out the closet. Okay, when you learn something about somebody's life, that's their life. Okay, they play a character on TV or in a movie. You know nothing about them. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors in their home. And to be honest with you, you wouldn't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You know, these, you know, as Mayat said, that black men in Hollywood keep setting us back. They have succumbed to the ways of the enemy, and that's very true. When you have to look on the screen and think that, you know, this black man that you're seeing is a real black man, then next thing you know, in the next film, you see him with a dress and a skirt on and shimmying around, you know, being feminine. And it's like, Doc, that it's almost a crime for a man to be a man. And to be able to say, don't bring that faggoty shit around me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think that as men, we should, when that shit come to us, it got to be put down immediately. And they got to know this is not the. I heard one faggot say on the YouTube that they trying to get a law. They trying to get it to pass a law that straight men have to date them. And it's like, what the fuck are you thinking? You'll never get nothing like that passed, but look at what's in the mind of these fruity tooties.
Yeah,
That they trying to make it force you to be with. What kind of hell?
Well, you know, the thing is that I wouldn't dare say that they'll never get it passed. Because if we know nothing else, that segment of our community is highly politically organized, and they're energetic, and they're serious about their stuff. You know, you got to think that with all the hell black folk have caught and how long they've caught hell, our political machine is nowhere near where theirs is. Okay, so I wouldn't put such a law being passed, but now the application of it, you can't legislate who somebody gonna date and who didn't not gonna date. You know, that's nonsensical whatsoever. Completely nonsensical.
And you're right, they are politically organized.
Yeah.
They are politically organized.
They spend every waking moment thinking about making plans for their agenda. I mean, you have to think about just deal with the question of you being able to use whatever restroom you want to. Okay. 10 years ago, you would have never, you would have said that shit'll never happen. That'll never happen.
True. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it's kind of a common thing. And you have and the thing is that for those who are rising up now, those who are aging now, just like I talked about earlier, these kids have never existed in a world where the internet was not available to them. We're going to very soon have a generation of children who are turning into young adults who have never been in a world where homosexuality was shunned in a significant way, except for what they would term some Christian fundamentalists whose time has passed. So in many ways, you're looking, I mean, it's not much different than 50 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, the idea of interracial relationships. And then you had products. You could have never told me that major manufacturing products would create commercials that would have a black man with a white wife and some interracial kids.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Culture goes. It goes where it's going to go. And the unfortunate thing for Black America is quite simply we're getting left behind, and there's a segment of Black folk who are not going to survive. You know, if you do not have any competency that can be compensated, this world is going to do something to you that's going to be horrible. They're going to push you, because for the lack of resources, you're going to have to turn to crime, you know, scamming. And eventually when they get around to you, they're going to go ahead and they're going to lock you up forever. So it's a different world. So I don't put anything past now the being able to force, and maybe they can do it through food, maybe they can do it through genetics, where they can mute that thing that you were born with that made you attractive to females. Who knows what's coming? Who knows? If there's some money in it, rest assured somebody working on it.
Mhm. Mhm. And like Maya said, the two men having sex in the Capitol building, in the Senate chambers, where they out there and they're meeting, and you have two faggots out there having sex with each other and video recording it. This homosexual behavior goes with them all the way to their beginning. It's not a behavior that's shunned. I put it that way. It is a behavior that is more, okay, yeah, y'all just did it, all right, whatever. That's how they roll with it. Even if you're going to go back to the Roman
Yeah.
thing,
But see, when you're dealing with the American Constitution and what this nation was supposed to be, with all of its multiple freedoms occurring simultaneously, we switched to the fact that it is impermissible for you to curtail some activity or something that would offend me. That you have the right to do it regardless of if it offends me or not. That's the crux of what we're dealing with. And somewhere along the way, we've lost the understanding and the elements of decency, of modesty. And I feel comfortable in saying this about some segments of the LGBTQIA plus community. I would imagine that there are some of them who cringe in the same way that there are some Black folk that we see and we cringe. That there are some segments of them where they're cringing and they're saying, this is not what I'm really about. There are people who are just so loud and outrageous and boisterous with what it is that they're advancing. So we're at I believe that we're beyond a tipping point. We're in a perilous situation where this nation is going to begin dividing itself based upon the ideas of morality, of decency, of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are in short order.
Most definitely. I want to go to one more video where our time is almost out, but I want to go to this video and let's hold up with me. Get everything. And when I watched this, Doc, this, and you may have seen it.
Todd Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Out on the prairie.
Let's check it out.
Essay about the things that you like the most. This week I thought it might be fun if we wrote an essay about the things that we dislike the most. Solomon?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you think of something that you dislike?
Being a nigga. I didn't mean nothing bad. The teacher asked a question and I just answered it.
Why'd you say it?
'Cause it's the truth. If and I was white, my pa still be alive. Being a nigga killed my pa. You answer me something, sir.
If I can.
Would you like to live to be 100?
Sure, I would. It's not very likely, but I guess all of us like to live to a ripe old age.
Would you rather be black and live to be 100 or white and live to be 50?
Couldn't even answer the
Now,
damn
last week
question.
I had you write an essay about the things that you
Play it
like the
one more
most.
time.
This week I thought it might be fun if we wrote an essay about the things that we dislike the most. Solomon?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you think of something that you dislike?
Being a nigga. I didn't mean nothing bad. The teacher asked a question and I just answered it.
Why'd you say it?
'Cause it's the truth. If and I was white, my pa still be alive. Being a nigga killed my pa. You answer me something, sir.
If I can.
Would you like to live to be 100?
Sure, I would. It's not very likely, but I guess all of us like to live to a ripe old age.
Would you rather be black and live to be 100 or white and live to be 50?
So he turns around and walks out. Don't even answer the question. Now, of course, as you said, this is Little House on the Prairie back in 77.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make TV like this no more. You're not going to have a question like that to be brought up into the mind of people. What did you think about this clip, Doc? And do you think that it has relevance?
Yeah, it has a lot of relevance. A more contemporary usage of this was that moment in Chris Rock's stand-up where he says quite simply that there isn't a white busboy in this building who would switch places with me. And hell, I'm rich. So we know we may want to, deny it, but race still matters. When W.E.B. Du Bois wrote In the Souls of Black Folk about the color line, and he says quite simply, the problem of the 20th century will be the color line. I would argue that Du Bois was wrong. It's not only the 20th century, it's bled over into the 21st century, the color line. And things are getting worse. And one of the reasons why they're getting worse is, number one, Black politicians and political leaders did not stand their ground when it came to the idea of reparations, especially as they were shared in the late 1960s and 70s via affirmative action. In white America, let's be honest, white America, yellow America, brown America, we're all struggling financially, and we're all seeking to increase our stability and our comfort level. So the idea, we all understand race matters, but we also understand that there's some other factors that are causing some of these folks to struggle as well. So is it still relevant to this day? Most certainly. Race still matters. It's always about money, and it's always about race when you're talking about a nation like America. So yeah, it's still relevant. And he understands that he would rather die at 50 and be white than have to live that long life to 100 as a Black man. Oh, that's almost torturous, almost unfair.
Now, Doc, why would you think that they played the white folks as being, oh, he said he didn't want to be a nigga? That would be a problem.
Writers write, and the writers, could very well just have focused, because you have a goal when you're writing, and the goal was to make this the race episode. So everything is going to be about pushing that storyline and creating these discussions that allow whatever message that needs to be shared to be shared. I mean, if you go back and you look at, it was groundbreaking television for HBCU. Look at A Different World and look at the messages that were being shared there. They were in many ways programming young Black folk in regards to what it is they should be pursuing in
Doc froze up. Hopefully Doc will be back really, really, really quickly. One thing that I would definitely say is that we have to stand strong on our race, on who we are, and not play this, you're wet like a leaf, you'll go any way that the wind go. Okay, Doc, you're back.
Okay.
Good. So Doc, when you say that the color issue, the color line, as Du Bois was saying, it was the problem, and it's still the problem in the 21st century.
It's one of the problems.
One of the problems. How should we define what that actually means?
What do you mean?
How do we define the problem of the color line? How do we define what that actually means? How do we break that down so that the simplest Joe on the street will know exactly what we're saying?
There's a little ditty that my Uncle Bucky used to say when he would get drunk, because I had an uncle who married a Vietnamese woman and another uncle that married a white woman. And it just took my uncle to get enough liquor in him. And he would say, if you're black, get back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're white, you're all right. That, in essence, sums it up. And in many ways, what we're talking about, this is no indictment against all of white America, but white America knows this better than we do, that there is a segment within their community who are simply not going to deal with black folk. And unfortunately, these people are often working in HR. They're in management positions and what have you. And any opportunity that they get to do something harmful to black folk, they're going to take it. And they know that. They know that about their people. They know who these people are, and to feign ignorance about that is really doing them a disservice. It takes us back to that moment where Malcolm tells a young lady when he was going to give a speech at Boston University. And she said, I'm a good white person. What could I do? And he turned around and said nothing. He said he regretted that moment because what white folk can do is go and clean up their own house. Because the racism, the prejudice, the discrimination, the residential segregation that is occurring in this nation is emanating from white folk. It's not emanating from black folk. Black folk are reacting to it and trying to survive like the rat that we see in the opening scene of Richard Wright's Native Son. Black folk are trying to survive, and once we are found out, we try to escape. And unfortunately, in this nation, you're considered a rodent, and you're not even worthy of an escape hatch. They're going to kill you simply because you were trying to survive.
Norma X says that's the problem with integration. It ruins our children's mind. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that integration is the trick of the white man.
Let's see. My question would be: do we have integration?
You say, do we have integration?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have integration on low levels, but we don't have integration on every level. I'll put it like that.
And see, my thing is that residentially, black folk are going to live with black folk.
Right.
My family, our story here in this town, the street that it's one block over, Dale Avenue. My parents' home is still there. We were the first black family to move on Dale Avenue. And when we moved in, the white folk moved out. And it wasn't until terse economic times that white folk began to move back, probably 15, 20 years later. However, that has not precluded white folk from utilizing black neighborhoods and black communities as a source for employment. They come in and they are your teachers. They are the law enforcement, the quote unquote law enforcement officers. They are the electric man. They are the cable man. They come in and they service that community because they're able to extract a paycheck from it. And unfortunately for us, that school and that education piece, we've dropped the ball on that, and we've allowed them to come in and do what they want to do. And it's not that I've never had white teachers that cared, but there's a difference between Mr. Rigo, who was a white teacher, and Miss Williams and Mr. Roberson, who were my black teachers, who singled me out, Miss Jones as well, and basically said to me, boy, you going to college. And I was in the second, third grade, and they made that happen too.
That's something that I want to go to Maya's comment before we wrap up. But she says that Navy Federal Bank solicited blacks to open accounts only to approve white home loans and deny blacks. The report just came out. It's
the idea of redlining and bank discrimination. Wells Fargo got in significant trouble for similar dealings. You know, and the thing is that if that report hadn't come out,
Mhm.
if the Rodney King beating hadn't been taped, it's only white America who doesn't believe that type of stuff. And my question would be, now that this report has happened, what you gonna do to Navy Federal?
Mhm.
What punishment will that be? What you gonna do? Sanction them and fine them, and they give the federal government $30 million? Well, that doesn't help the black folk who were denied the opportunity of purchasing a home.
Exactly. It's time that we definitely have to be able to see and do things differently. Doc, in your closing comments, one, how would you address those students that we saw in the first video where the teacher said enough is enough? How would you address those students if you were the principal and they showed you the videotape of what your teacher did? How would you address those students in that classroom, and how would you address that teacher? That's one part. The second part is to the viewers that watched the brother talk about his sexual assaults that was happening to him for years, they can come to you and saying, well, what you gonna do about it? If you some type of authority figure and they look to you and say, well, what you gonna do about it to fix this problem? What would you say? Can you put those things in your closing comments? Doc, you froze again? All right, Doc is froze again. Hopefully he'll be right back, y'all. Just give him a second to get it together, and he should be right back. But we have to make sure that we're ready for any type of situation that may come in, because we don't know who's going to be the next abuser that's going to look at you and say, you's a fine nigga. Let me get over there. Let me talk to you, and let me push up on you. It's like they think that they can always offer you something, that you're going to take it and sell your soul. Hopefully Doc will be right back for him getting back in. But we have to be aware of those things. We have to be aware of those things, that they will quickly try to buy your soul, to buy your character, so that you can be nearness to them. But who the hell are them for you to want to be nearness to? All right, we got Doc back. All right, welcome back.
This Spectrum Wi-Fi is horrendous. My dad didn't complain about it. I never experienced nothing like this. Jesus Christ. What would I say to the young brothers in there? I'm not sure if words alone are sufficient, because talking is just talking. I think that it would be better to show them two different paths. One is a path of what their life could be positively, and the other is showing them what their life will be if they continue on the same path that they're on right now. And I think that there's so many different ways that you would be able to deal with that. Now, the other brother, what was the question that you wanted me to deal with?
Well, the teacher, what would you tell if you're the principal, what would you tell the teacher? Because I'm quite sure the students would bring it to you. Look at what he did.
I would pull that brother to the side behind closed doors, and I would tell him, you're going to have to develop a mental health release valve if you're going to work with this population. Because right now you're holding on too tight. And that holding on too tight is going to probably cost you your career, and most certainly going to damage your health, your mental and your physical health. So you gotta take your foot off of the gas pedal. Okay. And you have to find another way, because what is going on right now is not working.
And the last one would be, what would you tell the people that watched the brother video about the sexual harassment? You know, how would you tell them to actually, you know, if they ask you, you know, what you going to do about it? You're some type of authority, judge, or whatever. You know, what would you tell them?
I would say just tell the truth. Stand on the truth. Don't dilly dally with it. Come out, be a man, and be honest. You know, one of the worst things that happens, not just with our people, but I would argue with any people, is that, and we saw this. I know I don't know the sister's name. The sister who said that she found the baby walking on the side of the freeway.
Yeah.
You know, the little white baby that, you know,
Right.
I'm to be honest with you, I'm still concerned because they ain't never found that damn baby. It's a baby out in the wild somewhere. And we believe it, sister. You know what I'm saying? Where's the baby? You know, I would tell the truth, because what happens is, you know, you tell a half truth or a flat out lie, and people get invested in it. They get emotionally invested in it. And now you can't back off of the lie. And you know that they're going to find out that this was a lie. And in many ways, what you're doing is, you know, you're damaging the brand of Black folk. And you're also, within the race, intra-racially, you are planting major seeds of distrust amongst us, you know, and you don't have the right, you don't have the authority to do that to us. Black folk catch enough hell already. We ain't got to make up no shit. We can just tell the truth of what's going on with us and let the chips fall where they may. So, you know, we have to, you know, you want to support and love your people, but verify. When the Jussie Smollett thing occurred, I knew he was lying. You go back and look at the shows that we did about that. I knew he was lying, and I said that. I said, this brother lying. Don't nobody get jumped on the street. Okay, make it home, and you walking around with the noose still around your neck, bruh. That's too far. Just like the sister talking about, she hadn't seen a little white baby running down the, you know, and she ran that damn baby over when they looked at the tape. But she done drove a long way down the berm of the road, you know. Tell the truth, y'all. You know, tell the truth. And don't be slanted. And I'm directing this directly at Black women. Tell the fucking truth. Quit lying to your kids about where they daddy at. And talk about what you did to run that man away, to make it impossible for him to be there. Okay, so that's what I would say. Tell the truth, and just because we gonna support you, you know, regardless. But you gotta tell the truth.
Definitely tell the truth. All right, family. Well, we are at our time. We will be back again on Sunday at 4:00. 4:00 Eastern time. You still be in Ohio?
Yeah. I'm gonna be here through the new year, man. I'm gonna hang out with my people for a little while, man. It's definitely an interesting situation to be back in a town that's probably about 30,000 people. All of that, yeah. This is different, much different. So I'll be here.
Okay. What's your favorite food that you miss from home now that you're going back home? You're gonna chomp down on it.
You know what? There's this pizza spot called Deschner's Pizza. I got a Deschner's Pizza the first night I was here, and I'm good now. I'm good. I'm back. You know, like I said, I took 2 days off from the gym. I'm back. I was back up in the gym today, so that stage is over for me.
All right, excellent. And as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black First, today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you, family, for coming. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
You better get the message and get it straight. You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.